Well, hello there and welcome to the kitchen of the dollhouse. And what are we cooking up today? Well, another reading from The Secret Language of Birthdays by Gary Goldschneider and Joost Elfers for December 2nd, the day of larger than life. And here at the top of the page is a visual representation of the day of larger than life. Well, we have us an image of, can you guess? That's right. Boom! It's the Sphinx, I'm guessing, even though it doesn't quite look like the Sphinx. We can argue this because of the pyramids in the back, but we can also disclaim it because it's kind of missing some of the neck pieces there. Any event, get it to focus again here. There's some folks visiting and blah, blah, blah. Any event, that's not why you're here, right? For the visual representational image. Does it represent the day? Hey, who's to say, larger than life? There is quite a bit buried under the surface. Perhaps a decent allegory. That said, not altogether all too important. What is important? It's December 2nd, and it's somebody's birthday today. So I just want to say happy birthday if that's the case. But maybe this video finds you late, as is often the case with busy individuals, right? Well, I just want to say I hope you had a happy birthday if that's the case there. But for everybody else who's joining us to celebrate the December 2nd birthday, I just want to say hello, welcome, and I hope you enjoy yourself. Now, before we dive in with the redirect, something I like to do around these here parts, and that's roll some dice. And, we got to live up to the namesake, if you like, by rolling some dice. But I do so a little more importantly for synchronicity's sake. That's right, to introduce synchronicity into your life. So I rolled a 3 and a 4 for a 7. Now, what's synchronicity, you're probably wondering? Well, it's just you making an agreement with the universe for it to show you it's with you on your path. Oftentimes in life we have the blinders on as we're getting out into the world, doing our errands and going about life. And, the universe is usually putting things in front of us, things to try and grab our attention, if you like, or show us which ways to go. There are things that we kind of put things out into the world like things that we want, but a lot of times we don't go down the respective paths we need to go to get there. That being said, the ideology is that the universe will put you there if you know how to look for it. And so this is just an examination into that. Get you out there to find your path and see that the universe is there with you. Take the blinders off, if you like. So that being said, your numbers here, it's 3 and a 4 for a 7. You don't have to go with those, but it is advisable you take a pair of dice with you if you decide to get out in the world and do this. Ascribe number sets to directional values and time limits with which to go in those directions. So you get yourself your number, your direction, your time limit, and you set off from whatever point it is you choose, right? And as you're out there, you just get eagle-eyed for not only your numbers, but anomalies, things that start to creep up on occasion there. You got to stay eagle-eyed, see what the universe is presenting you with. And then, I don't know, maybe you stop it in your time limit and you just so happen to see, maybe the number 34 bus pops up in front of you. Well, that's one of your numbers, right? Now it's a combination of the two. Get on there, see what you see. Maybe you don't ride the bus that often. Hey, maybe it just so happens you got perfect change in your pocket for it. Hey, go after it, all right? Ride the bus. And maybe you don't like to be on there. Roll yourself the dice, time limit, find out how long. And maybe you roll yourself, again, let's stick with the 3 and the 4 for a 7. Maybe you look up and there's somebody wearing a sports jersey with that number on it. Like, oh, geez, that's kind of coincidental, right? No, we're not doing that today, all right? We're gonna take this as it is, all right? So you're gonna wait for that individual to get off the bus. That's right. And then you're gonna roll the dice, find out a time value with which to follow them. That's right. Now that sounds a little creepy, but hey, give them some space. Be interesting, all right? Don't be too crazy if you like. That said, maybe you do get identified. Maybe they find you creeping on them and they confront you. Hey, look, this is a very innocent thing, so just be upfront, clear, tell them what you're doing, show them your dice, show them this video, and you know what might just happen? You might find out it's their birthday too. How about that? That would be coincidence, wouldn't it? No, we're not doing coincidence today. You know what I'm saying? Maybe it just made you friend, and they join you on your path there, see what you see, and they're like, all right, where do we go next? And you just say, no, man, I was following you. Or lady, who's to say, I was following you. Where were you going? And who knows? Maybe they were going to the travel agency. That's right. They're going to book a trip to Egypt to see, what was it? The Sphinx. That's right. Okay. Who's to say? Things might just line up into a theme, like I said. I think you get the idea. Get out there, see, taste, touch, maybe feel a little bit of magic, maybe even smell some of it if we're using our 7 senses. And if you do, you can get just a little bit of it. You'll see why I suggested it for you. Even if you don't believe in this stuff, it's interesting to see what lines up. All right? You're going to introduce some coincidence coincidence in your life, if you like. All right, that being said, that's been the synchronicity. I think you get the point. Let's move on to the birthday read. All right, your month is December. Your day is the 2nd. Your sign is 9 to 11 degrees. A Sagittarius of the Sagittarius I period specifically. And your quality and element is mutable fire. All right, December 2nd, the day of larger than life. Those born on December 2 are possessed of tremendous spirit. No matter how small their physical frame, they will exert an influence on their surroundings far beyond what one might expect on first meeting them. It is only when seen in action that they really shine. And so magical is their effort that those involved with them may sometimes feel as if they've been hit with a bolo punch. And the December 2 judgmental aspect is very expansive, for better or for worse. On the one hand, those born on this day are keen evaluators, true judges of honesty and integrity. But on the other hand, they are capable of harboring grudges and taking their often furious tempers out on those who have transgressed. Less highly evolved individuals born on this day can do a great amount of damage to others and to themselves through manipulating emotions and demanding approval or allegiance from those close to them. Generally, however, December 2 people remain convinced of their own rightness, and only much later are they able, if at all, to admit that they were indeed wrong in what they did and said. December 2 people not only display strong character, but also practically worship it in those they respect. December 2 people are not ones to follow like sheep, but nonetheless can be swept away by a powerful personality or a cause which appeals to their ideals. A basic faith in humankind is characteristic of those born on this day. And indeed, they are fascinated by the whole kaleidoscope of human emotions, actions, thoughts, and feelings. From the most base and treacherous to the most pure and idealized, life is their God. But life supercharged by belief and by daring achievements. And generally, those born in this day are confrontational when provoked, but not overly aggressive. And since they rarely back down, refusing to give in may amount to a mania with them. That's right, refusing to give in may amount to a mania, said more clearly. And too often, December 2 people see life as a struggle in which they must emerge the victor. However, what they are fighting for is not necessarily their personal welfare, but the survival of certain basic human values, as they see it. Along with character and faith, integrity also rates high with them. Thus, when they find they have acted basely or in an unworthy fashion, they may become severely repentant. Guilt often figures as a major theme in their lives. Developing their individualism and both finding and following their spiritual path are the greatest challenges for December 2 people. Often they stray from this path, but their indomitable spirit never seems to forsake them, and even in their most trying hour. Learn to distinguish between what is false and what is real, what is illusion and what is truly meaningful. Is the constant preoccupation of their difficult and complex life. All right, how about that for a pretty interesting, pretty well-rounded, dynamic birthday read, all things told, but I think it probably could have gone on for pages, all right, and as complicated as it sounded. Any event, I like to provide a little bit of a commentary on what we just read, so let's dive into some notes here. All right, December 2nd, the day of larger than life. Possessed with tremendous spirit, you exert an influence far beyond what one might expect. All right, so some of that book by its cover kind of energy there. It's only in cracking open the content of your character that your bolo punch equated magic is revealed. All right, which is a kind of cross between a hook and an uppercut. From what I read. not a fighter there, so I couldn't tell you. That said, your judgmental aspect is apparently very expansive. Okay, as keen evaluators, you are true judges of integrity, but also hold a grudge against transgressors, it said. With a furious temper, the reading claims that you may have, and while nothing is mentioned of the so-called higher evolved individuals born this day, the lesser are said to do a great deal of damage, all right? At least to others and themselves, it's said, through manipulation of emotions and demands that they make to those close to them. So be on the lookout for that. Don't be lesser evolved, all right? What else we got here? Which seems to line up with others born in this period, quite interestingly. The old Sagittarius I and a little bit of that Sagittarius Scorpio cusp there. And specifically November 29th, too. So maybe mind the choices that you make don't come back to bother you more than the folks you aimed them upon. That's right, the guilt there. November 29th, folks, too, but it's just a little bit different. It may be a difficult suggestion to abide if you are, as the reading claims, convinced of your own rightness, to the extent you rarely, if ever, admit your errors, right? But I say maybe try it out with a stranger if you don't want to start doing that kind of stuff with people you know. See how it feels. Sometimes it's easier to tell strangers the intimate truths, right? Especially when you're wrong or whatever. But you know what? Get that baggage off your shoulders however you can, I would argue. Also at this point, may get swept away by their example there, the folks that are able to just get into it there. I don't know why I wrote that. Oh no, I jumped ahead here. Excuse me. All told, you display strong character and respect as much in others as well, to the point you may get swept away by their example. There it is. How are you getting swept away by the example of strangers, right? Which is an interesting inclusion that they put in there, not just because it claimed you aren't much of a follower, but because it's not a trait that gets mentioned very often, quite honestly, all right? But you're fascinated with the human condition, apparently, as well as life, at least as supercharged by belief in daring. And it said life is your god also, as long as it's supercharged. So that's pretty interesting. That said, you're hardly conservative of action, it sounds like, especially if you never back down from confrontation. To the point of mania, it said. To the point of mania. What with seeing life as a struggle to emerge the victor from. That's an interesting way to approach life. It's certainly going to keep you on your toes, right? At least I'm assuming, all right? Did I have anything else to say? So larger than life, for sure. That's right. But like I said, rather complex but well-rounded day that could have gone on for pages. So a little disjointed there because I skipped a sentence, but hey, that's how it goes sometimes with the one shot, one takes. But that being said, that's been your birthday breakdown and what I had to say about it. Let's move on to your numbers and your planets. All right, those born on the 2nd of the month are ruled by the number 2. We didn't roll one of those, that's all right. And by the moon. And number 2 people often make good coworkers and partners rather than leaders. However, moon influences can also act as a brake on individual initiative as well as action, producing frustration, particularly for those under the influence of a more dominant personality. I would assume that's you there. This is further enhanced by the moon's strongly reflective and passive tendencies, combined with Jupiterian qualities of Sagittarius. The moon influences support nurturing and generous impulses. And if a second child, some December 2 people can have trouble establishing themselves as individuals since they have formed a conception of themselves subordinated to a powerful older sibling. Interesting. All right, what I have to say about your numbers and your planets. This one was pretty specific. It was a little bit of a copy-paste job, but they personalized it for you. So what I have to say here. The number 2 in the moon for making good coworkers and partners rather than leaders energy. Apparently, at least apparently, or more so in your regard, perhaps a break on individual initiative and action, as I personally did pick up on a little bit of a dominant personality, if we are to go with what the breakdown had to say. And I usually hate breaking down the moon days because of this particular element that gets mentioned. At least for folks that I could see being potential leaders or have the traits to become potential good leaders. And you certainly have the confidence to sound like you don't back down from confrontation and the like. And you strive for life. But maybe that's where the disconnect there is, all right? There's, what do we got here? I'll get to that here. I'm going to get ahead of myself. No back down attitude coupled with the interest in the human condition and integrity, okay? I'd argue you have these qualities for good leadership. That's what I think is instrumental in a good leader. But maybe there's the disconnect. I was getting ahead of myself here. Maybe there's the disconnect. How many leaders do you know, you can ask yourself, that have those qualities? Probably not a lot. There's just too many bad leaders I've had in my time. Hopefully not for you, but I would say some of them don't have integrity. Some of them have no interest in the human condition. Some of them have all that other stuff there. They create the conflicts, right? You know what I mean? They're the ones you gotta rise up against because they started the conflict. You know what? I would say, hey, you know what? Maybe lean into this, what are they called? Passive and reflective qualities of the moon. Maybe that's exactly in your wheelhouse. And you know what? Leadership, it's no fun. Nobody wants all the responsibility when you can get out there and live your life instead of having to be responsible for everything, right? I think you get the point. But maybe you flourish as a coworker and a partner is kind of what I'm trying to say. More so for those reasons. But interesting info with regard to Jupiter lending generosity and natural impulses, and the mention of this sibling dynamic. If you're the younger sibling, you might get subordinated by their power. I don't think that's ever come up in the numbers and planets. It seemed like something that should be put in the breakdown itself, but they left it for this. So it's pretty interesting. It shows that they actually did some of the work. And to that end, the part where they said undue influence on more dominant personality, that ain't normally in the copy-paste job from what I can recall. So again, they personalized it for you. Any event, that's been your numbers and your planets. Let's move on to your tarot. That's right, one of the more eclectic of the New Age metaphysical ideologies. But hey, it's here in the book. It's your birthday. We don't got to take it home with us and start dealing out the cards to predict our future or, whatever people use tarot cards for. So let's get into it. Let's see what it has to say about your birthday. Yeah. The second card of the major arcana is the Priestess, shown seated on her throne, calm and impenetrable. She is a spiritual woman who reveals hidden forces and secrets, empowering those of us who heed her with that knowledge. Favorable qualities of this card are quietude, intuition, reserve, and discretion. And negative values are secretiveness, mistrust, indifference, and inertia. All right. Hopefully you know what those are. It took me a while to get around to looking them up because I thought I knew what they were, the negative qualities and such. But hey, let's dive in before I get to that here. Your tarot, the Priestess, all right? The female magician for hidden secrets and forces, right? I didn't see this one particularly informing the breakdown. Sometimes it just doesn't. Not very often, however. And I say that here a little bit prematurely perhaps, but I reckon you may just have some secrets and truths that to reveal. I mean, especially if you have this fascination by people, as the book relates, and this hunger for living a life, okay? I think there's things you could teach people, at least stories that you could tell that are going to captivate, all right? Particularly when it comes to chasing danger. That's right. That said, I didn't pick up on the quietude or reserve or the discretion, but maybe it is the case. Who's to say? Maybe the breakdown just didn't focus on it. I'm supposing it's hard to relate the larger-than-life emphasizing qualities if you're drilling down on people who are reserved, right? So it did say you have that book by its cover kind of magic, though, too. So maybe you are a little bit reserved. Just be mindful of the inertia setting in, okay? Keep moving. Inertia being if you don't have a force exerting some force on you, you're going to stay stationary. And hey, you know what? If you're larger than life, you can't be sitting around not doing anything. Am I right? That's right. Okay. Indifference to nobody. Apathy is a poor choice. Acting 101 there. So that might not mean anything to you. Indifference, if you like, it's just a poor choice, as I was told many a time now. That being said, let's move on to your health. Okay. December 2 people's health is aided by their belief in themselves. All right. However, they still need to have regular yearly checkups with a trusted family physician. And they are apt to let small problems, say infections, miscellaneous aches and pains, headaches and stomach aches, go too long without being diagnosed or treated. They must be particularly careful of problems with their lower venous systems, says, especially insults to their cardiovascular system and the leg veins, which can lead to varicosities in later life. Varicosities, perhaps? Boy, this one got me. They should work on improving their appetite and their diet by deepening their interest in food preparation. This one gets mentioned on occasion. And as far as exercise is concerned, only moderate activity is recommended. Sleep, however, as much as 10 hours per night if necessary, it says in parentheticals, is particularly important to their mental health since they need plenty of dream time. Interesting. Oh, that's a first. That's a first. All right, hey, I'm getting ahead of myself again. Let's see what I had to say about your health here. Aided by belief in yourself. Okay, your legs and veins get mentioned with some big words there. It's a Sagittarius body type, as it turns out, or body area rather. So it actually gets mentioned quite a bit. So maybe take note of that. Be careful of your legs and your veins, however you take care of veins. I suppose that means you just don't be getting slapped a lot by like quarterbacks and stuff if you like to play a little bit of flag football, because you know your veins are hurting when your arms are all tingly and like next day you're like, oh, why are my arms just killing me? That's one of them telltale indicators. You're slapping the veins too much. Getting outside of the pertinent information here. Here we go. Actually, eating gets mentioned also for diet, so a recurring theme in Sagittarius traits there. I can't remember if they said that here. I don't remember them saying you need to eat, but that's something that other Sagittarians, I'm assuming, that's what they don't do. They get so preoccupied with life that they forget to actually eat stuff, or when they do, they binge. For you, they said, get interested in cooking, all right? But just be mindful. You got to eat your food too there. Keep your calorie intake going if you're going to be larger than life. What else did I have to say here? What else did I have to say here? But get your sleep after that moderate exercise they mentioned, all right? You need your dream time, all right? Like I said, that's the first one, and if it has been mentioned before, maybe one other time. So very rare indeed, and I'm envious, though the 10 hours seems a little excessive, if I'm being honest. Who's to say? My body won't let me sleep that long. I start getting headaches and neck pain and all that. That being said, not all too important. That's not my birthday today. Event. That's your health. Let's move on to some advice. All right, your advice. Watch your temper. Ooh, regardless of what people say, winning isn't everything. All right, real self-assurance will minimize your need to be appreciated. And try to be less judgmental and condemning. And to improve, one must first acknowledge weakness and faults. All right. What I have to say about your advice. Hopefully I put it together a little better than I did the other ones here. I had to write it in the book, though, so the text is tiny. What else am I going to mess up here? Let's get it. Watch your temper, all right? They didn't really drill down on this too much outside of saying it was furious, right? So maybe we can make some connotations there. That's pretty bold there. But if you happen to be skimming, you might have missed it. All negatives notwithstanding, as it comes with temper, it also just isn't a good look on someone, all right? Having a temper, jumping up and down, throwing a tantrum, it's not a good look. You also don't strike me as someone who doesn't like to be in control of things. So don't let you be the one who's out of control of yourself, all right? I could have said that better, but I think you get the point. Let's see if I wrote it better. Don't let yourself be the one who takes away your power. I did write it better. All right. Winning isn't everything, okay? They mean arguments, I'm reckoning. That's right. Don't be starting contentious things just because you want to win an argument. You can let that garbage go. And what else we got here? And you're larger than life. You're already winning anyway. You know what? Those arguments are garbage. All right. How's that for real self-assurance? That's right. I'm larger than life, baby. I don't need this argument. Throw it in the trash. All right. Less judgmental, they said. We just don't know for sure about these folks, right? Just like they said for you. You're a book by don't judge a book by your cover kind of energy. Folks don't know about you until they dig in, until they crack the spine on that book. So don't do it yourself, right? You just never know about folks. So you should know that just lion's share outside of that. So it's interesting they brought it up. Sounds like you're guilty of it yourself, perhaps. Which, I mean, who isn't? But in any event, first acknowledge faults and to find them. Huge. You got to first acknowledge your faults before you can really address them and find them. I talk about this dynamic to some extent pretty often, so who knows, maybe we'll drill down on it before we end the read. That being said, that's been your advice. Also a little disjointed, but hey, we got it through, right, didn't we? Let's move on to your meditation. Let's take the energy down just a hair and relate your meditation. True greatness may be found in the humblest of places. All right. Not quite sure why that one's for you, but hey, you know what? This is just for you. True greatness may be found in the humblest of places. All right. That's just for you. That's your meditation, your birthday. I'm not going to throw some kind of spin on it for you. Just for you, your birthday. So that being said, your meditation in the can, as it were. Let's move on to your strengths and your weaknesses. That's right. Your strengths and weaknesses. Where are you strong? Where are you weak? If that didn't make any sense. All right. Strengths and weaknesses. You're dynamic. You're lucid. And you're human. That's your strengths there. Dynamic, lucid, and human. But your weaknesses, all right, let's hold up the objective mirror, but spin it around to the side that blows up your face and shows off all the wrinkles and such, so to speak. Your weaknesses, you're temperamental, you're judgmental, and you're manipulative. Oh, interesting. Well, that's where they got the judgmental from, which is interesting because they said other folks sometimes judge you. I know we talked about that, but I just wanted to bring it back up again. Again, we can't acknowledge fault unless we hear it. That's right. We have to hear it to recognize. That's part of the advice, wasn't it? All right. You probably didn't want to hear about that from the judgmental side, but hey, that's what it is. That's what I drilled down on. So anyway, that's been your strengths and your weaknesses. Let's move on to those born on this day. And when we get into those born on this day, not only get to see what lottery you drew, who shares your company, but I like to take this as an opportunity to examine something I find important, and that's figuring out our passions. Too often I get out in the world, meet folks, ask them what they do, and more importantly, if they like it, and they don't. And you know what? Who can blame anybody for as much? You get out of school, get into the first job that comes along that puts money in your pocket so that you can, get on with a somewhat comfortable life, and then you just start going up the corporate ladder there, maintaining that job that had no real roots of passion in it. Ostensibly. I think you're pretty lucky if you did find one, but that being said, not the case for a lot of us. So we just keep going, keep drilling down on what we know. Before too long, hey, we're at a place we don't want to be, and you know what? It's perfectly relatable because you gotta put in time and you gotta put in work to figure out your passions more often than not. Some of us don't even know what we like to do. So like I said, find the time, put in the work. But if you got that full-time job, you just don't have the time. And if you're getting those 10 hours of sleep, oh yeah, there's just no time left in the day outside of your job. So I think this is the perfect opportunity to not only see who shares your company, but what they did to get in the book there. See, get in the cultural zeitgeist, if you like. I know it's a big ask, tall order to take inspiration from somebody else's accomplishments, but you know what? Maybe it'll stir up the fires, right? Get the passion broiling up a little bit there. Broil's wrong. That's heat from above. I mean, oven, right? You get my point. So let's dive in with it, right? We got to hear it first before we can acknowledge it. Let's get into it here. Maria Callas, the opera diva soprano, famous affair with Aristotle Onassis. Interesting. I only knew him from Jackie-O there. We have Nikos Kazantzakis, Greek novelist of Zorba the Greek. We also have Georges Seurat, a French pointillist, impressionist, painter, and he died at the age 32. Ooh, pretty young there. You got to be larger than life, right? Or you're never going to get anything done there. You might die young. That's right. That's a good example there. Monica Seles, Yugoslavian U.S. women's world tennis champion and the youngest Grand Slam winner of the 20th century. And get this, injured in a knife attack. I thought I was going to say knife fight, but knife attack. That's right. You gotta get out there, gotta get active. All right. Julie Harris, stage film, TV actress. No knife attack here. That's good. Gotta change the energy. Charles Ringling of the circus. He was a circus owner of the Ringling Brothers and Barnum and Bailey. We also have William Wegman, a New York photographer and video artist, as well as a painter. Geoffrey Lawrence, a British jurist, presiding judge at the Nuremberg war crime trial. We also have Alexander Haig, Reagan's Secretary of State and a writer. We also have Edwin Meese, the third Reagan Attorney General. There we go, another Reaganite there. Jean Trosgros, probably saying that wrong, we'll make up for that. French chef and nouvelle cuisine inventor, and Les Frères Trogios, probably the title of his book there, I'm assuming. Or her, I'm not quite sure. We also have Russell Leans, a Harper's Edition writer. Otto Dix was a German post-expressionist painter. The names today, let me tell you, Thomas C. Blasdell Jr., the New Deal FDR government administrator and a Berkeley professor. Bess Feuerman, a journalist of the White House Profile. We also have Paul Moldenhauer, German economist. Robert Capuccio, an Italian fashion designer. Lucarius Baby, a columnist and publisher, a Western author, and Sir John Barbaroli there. I got it eventually there. Ostensibly. A British conductor of the Halley Orchestra, and Anatoly A. Dorodenitskian, a Russian geophysicist. My lord, the names today. I butchered them like nothing other. Maybe the worst day on record for that. And I don't think I really knew any of those people there. I knew Aristotle of Nasus, and it wasn't even his birthday. That said, you know what? You got your work cut out for you. Ostensibly, I think that's probably the wrong way of saying it. But hey, you know what? I would say you have the opportunity to get out on top here, because I haven't heard of any of these folks. There you go. This day is rife for the mining there. Outside of the Ringling Brothers guy, I heard of him maybe. Good company, the circus gentlemen. Get out there, find your passions. I know big ass tall order, but I think there's room for you here. I mean, the book's already written, but you know what I'm saying there. Get out there, figure out your passions, because you got to get out of life. You got to get out of bed in the morning after them 10 hours of sleep, doing backflips to get into your day. Being larger than life, I can't imagine is easy, okay? But just watch your temper there, all right? If you're bound to run into frustrations. Just mind your temper. You can do it. It's a bad look, right? You got that 10 hours of sleep. You got plenty of beauty rest, I'm assuming. You can do this. Get after your passions. Because if there's anything I can wish for you on your birthday, it's that you have that in your life, all right? Nothing better, I would argue, even though someone probably could argue as much. That being said, the Born on this Day having been related, that essentially rounds out your birthday read, except to say your season is fall, your sign once again is Sagittarius, the Sagittarius I period specifically, and your quality and elements is mutable fire. And what does that mean? Well, that's a different video altogether. I'll leave it at the end for you. You can check it out if you're interested. But this has been December 2nd, the day of larger than life, from The Secret Language of Birthdays by Gary Goldschneider and Joost Elfers. I have an affiliate link to this book down in the description if you're interested in picking up a copy. It makes a great book on your bookshelf to pull down for the special occasions there, specifically when you got company over and you need to break the ice. Let me tell you something, it's going to do so figuratively and or literally, considering how big it is. But just trying to save you the effort having to type it in a browser there. You just click the link. That being said, that's not what's important here. What is important, like I said at the top, saying happy birthday to you. If I can do anything here for you today other than inspire your passions, put the bug in your ear to stir up the fires, it's wish you a happy birthday at the very least. That being said, I just want to say for everybody else who joined us, I hope you enjoyed yourself and we see you for your birthday read. But let's not forget your daily numbers, your 3 and your 4 for a 7. Get out there, let the universe show you it's with you on your path. And you know what? Just feel, taste, touch, smell. the magic, all right? And if you do, you'll understand why I suggest it as much. That's right. Get out there and just be larger than life, all right? But get your 10 hours of sleep and the temper. Watch the temper. It don't look good on you. That's right. Okay, enough on that. Don't be judgmental, right? Yeah, there's another one. Okay, happy birthday once again. Take care of yourself.